whatever else he has to do in there. Ladies and gentlemen, for those that don't know, the people's here. We have our chairman Nick Cragg, and we have Lindsay Jones, and we also have John Whaling here. So, I welcome Tackney Tuesday number 274 to pass our directors. John, over to you.
So I'm leading it, am I? Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming down. We're just going to do a quick update, really, tell you a bit about what's been going off. Martin Jenkinson's going to join us either during or after the training session, and Adam's going to come in and introduce himself and say a few words to you before the first game that he's in charge of on Saturday. Tonight is the first session he's taken because obviously we had COVID last week, so the players didn't train on Thursday. So tonight is the first day that he's actually been with the players, so he will come in once that's over. I thought we'd start with my good friend here, Lindsay. She's going to tell you a bit about what we've been doing in the foundation and what sort of money we've been raising and what we've been spending it on, because we do get a lot of questions about the money that goes into the foundation, and I think she just wants to be open and transparent and tell people, you know, how we use it and how it benefits the club in general. So over to you, Lindsay.
Right, I arrived here in 2018 starting this work, and at that point there wasn't a lot of money in the pot, but there was enough to start off what we did that year with Alex Dolly and Seb Nagel-Taylor as the main people involved. We have spent a lot of time since then trying to find ways to increase revenue, certainly to try and find ways that money comes in on a regular basis rather than hoping and praying that a grant will come through or a bid that I put in has actually made it through the process. John has been absolutely brilliant with this. Without him, I couldn't do this, and I'm very grateful for the fact that he knows more about money than I do. But where I want to start from is, some people have asked, well, what do I get paid? I don't. Alan over there will actually say that it costs us a fair bit of money for me to do this. He doesn't moan too much, but occasionally he does. I do it because I've got a background in education, and I know what it's like in Rotherham. For the vast majority of children here, they don't come from a background that is going to get them on in the world very easily, and I think the least this club can do is to try and give some kids a chance at a sport that I've loved for years and that they hopefully will get as much fun out of as well. So what we've been doing for the last few years has been applying for National Lottery funding. We've had 2 bids for that, both for £10,000, and they usually will last for 18 months, about a year to 18 months. The current one we've got will run through probably until January, February. That's extended because of COVID, and that is particularly to look at work with disadvantaged children and disadvantaged adults, and we are doing some work at the moment with a group called Orchid out at Maltby. We're working with the Rock School, again with people with disabilities, and we're also got a tie-in with the Willow School at Maltby, Thurcroft I think for that one. All those links help us get bids through for other funding. We've also, throughout COVID, tapped into funding that was there specifically to help with COVID. I think in the end, John, it was about £18,000, wasn't it? From both the National Lottery and Sport England, and that's tying into what we do with the secondary schools at the moment. Every time I get one of these bids in, can be anything from 17 to 20 odd pages long as to what we can and cannot do with that money. And our accountants are pretty hot on yeah, we've had a few interesting conversations, but it isn't just always for you can pay these number of players. There's things, sometimes we have to buy equipment. The coffee machine over there is part of that one, but we have to justify it some way. We have also, in the last few months, had a grant from the Master Cutlers for £1,000 and some money from the Freemasons, which both John and I actually forgot we'd applied for that.
It's all secret. It's all secret.
That took about 4 months to come through, and so all of a sudden this money arrives and you go, oh, what did we actually say we were going to do with that? I can't remember, but...
It was in schools.
Schools,
Yeah,
right,
schools.
okay.
School
And the squad builder and the crowdfunders that came through the lottery, through the COVID, the crowdfunders, everybody thinks that 100 and something thousand, how many did we get in the end?
Not quite that much, Lindsay, about 27, 28.
No, I meant the whole.
Oh, well, we did 2 crowdfunders. One more, we did 3 crowdfunders if you count, yeah. So in total, there'd be 60,000, yeah.
And you lot donated that, and the way that we got any money out of it was because of the gift aid that you donated. So the government paid us 25%, and that is what ended up in the foundation's pot. So thank you. That's been a huge change. And the squad builder, again, every month it seems to grow, and every month, as well as the money that we hand over to whoever won, that equal amount goes into the foundation, and 25% extra that you've put through because you tick the gift aid. Thank you. Makes a difference. And for the Christmas one, I was talking to some people today, we are going to run a 12 days of Christmas. We're going to draw the final one, the big one with the cash, on Friday the 17th, so that you get a chance to spend it at the Tigers game. And we've had some donations already from sponsors, from supporters, and at the minute we've got enough to start 11 days in advance of that, probably with the bobble hat, you know, always a popular choice. And then we will have a draw every single day for a prize. And if David comes out of the hat again, David gets to keep whatever he wins. So Squad Builder, encourage people to join us for December. There's going to be a lot of prizes available. But the biggest one that has shocked me in the last few weeks was a bid that we put into the People's Postcode Lottery. I have a guy who helps me write these bids, and we rattled this one off in about 3 or 4 days, not thinking we were going to actually get it. So when I got a letter saying that we'd got £19,600, I was slightly shocked, but then I realised that this is one that is a capital bid, and I have to buy what we said we would buy. So we're going shopping for rugby themed inflatables, because that's what we said we would buy. I tell you, sometimes these bids are slightly bonkers, but this one, I've seen them at Bristol Rugby Club, I've saw them at the World Cup, and they are great fun. There's passing games, there's running into things that knock over, there's stuff where you're attached to pieces of elastic. Kids will absolutely love these.
No, we will. Forget kids.
And because it's not just for us as a club, this is for the whole of the area, and we are going to meet with people and look at how these pieces of crazy equipment can actually not just raise money, but again get people involved in rugby and having a lot of fun. So that's my next shopping trip. They come from a place in Wales, so I think I'm going to have to go and have a look, but they're going to be a real asset. And we put another bid in this Monday for yet another thing to do with supporting, where's Martin, mental health and well-being. I can't remember who.
Us.
No, I can't remember who we bid it.
Oh, right. Oh,
I
right,
just
okay.
fill in the bits that he asked
Okay.
me to. And we have also got something back from, what's the last one? the South Yorkshire Coalfields Regeneration for a project that I'm going to do with Nick Tyso, getting children eating different foods and cooking. Because when you see what's in their lunch boxes, no, not
imagine.
good. So there's a lot of projects going on. But if you want to know where the money goes, these are our accounts for last year up to the end of June. If you go on the
Company's House or Charities Commission.
Yep,
The both.
all our accounts are there, complete with an explanation of what we've done with things, where the money's gone, and the rest of it. It's transparent, it's open. Every penny we get that we can, we spend on putting players into schools and working with kids. We're trying all the time to expand. We've got people now who are working Sheffield Hallam. Cookie is their head coach this year. We've got Thomas Rotherham College. We've got secondary schools. There's another festival tomorrow night. And next week we've got every single secondary school in the district sending girls down to a festival at Wickersley, which is fabulous. I think there's going to be hundreds of them. Not quite sure how we're going to cope, but we'll manage. And when I go to some of these festivals and kids come up to us in year 7 and year 8 and say, I did rugby with you 2 years ago. Brilliant. George Tucker, playing for us, Sheffield Hallam student. It works. Thomas Rotherham College students are in the first year team at Sheffield Hallam. So it works. But if you want to ask any questions or know what we do with the money, just ask.
Got
I
some
don't
questions
take it.
now? If anybody's got any questions for Lindsay, please shout up.
You mentioned the project with Nick Tyson on food.
Yeah.
How's the progress with the app that Cookie were doing?
Right, we've got somebody finally who's prepared to actually build the thing. We've got 2 versions from 2 different schools, and Cookie's version, which is slightly different, but they're going to work together, and we're working with a group of students from down at RNN. We put it into them as a project as part of what they do, and I have a small budget to help with that. So they reckon that by the summer the app will be ready, and that then will link from the Titans card from the QR code on that. That QR code on the Titans card takes you to our website, and everything we do goes on there.
Okay. Anyone? Yeah.
You
Andrew?
mentioned a Titans card. What's that?
Oh.
Titans go.
I've not got one with me.
Oh,
They are for all children under 18 that we work with.
One I prepared earlier.
Thank you, Martin. Every school we go into, we give them out.
yeah.
Their children get into all our home games for free.
Oh.
And that is because of donation from AES Seal and also from Franco at McDonald's. So they can come, the parents have to pay. And you probably noticed there's quite a few more kids about at games. It's
Yeah.
because they've got that.
Oh,
And there'll be some more this week because we've been in Thurcroft and we've given out another 50 or 60 in Thurcroft today, this week.
oh, right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Okay. Any more questions for Lindsay? Right. We're going to pass on to Nick now, and Nick's going to tell us a bit about what we've been doing here at the clubhouse. You might have noticed some rebranding. You might have noticed some new signage. I hope you've noticed some really, really nice food down here. And I hope you've noticed that we've got some decent beer on as well now, as well as some alcohol-free for Lindsay. So Nick, do you want to tell us a bit about what's been happening?
And before I do, can I just say, Lindsay and John have done a fantastic job on that foundation. It's never been in a better place, and it's a very, very important part of our club. It's working. Our club is a wonderful institution that is about community, not just about the fans here who are legendary. I think they're the best fans. Certainly, I was speaking to Martin about it this morning. We have the best fans. I don't think it's a better fan base up until the championship, and even in the championship we could hold our own with the clubs there. So, and you know, I was only listening now, and Sean was saying, and Simon was saying just now, they'd been to Chester, and they were so, this weekend, because our game was called off, and they were so appreciative. And they said, what was they saying, Simon? Something they, when they were signing in, and oh, it's the Titans, you know, as if this was the club sort of thing. And as we know, every time we're playing out there, it's a cup match for them because they're playing the senior club basically. But anyway, Lindsay and John have done an incredible job there, and we should be justifiably proud. So we've turned the COVID situation into a positive. Whilst we couldn't get in here, we've improved the fabric of the building. We've sorted a lot of things. Well, actually, I say we. John has sorted a lot of things out here. John has done tremendous work in terms of the fabric of the building, getting us secure and legal. In terms of fire and electric and the full bit, we've got it was a bit civvy, this roof. We've got that all mended, as you probably know. What we have done as well, which is the major improvement, is we've got Kim and Nick in here who have transformed this place, I think, into a go-to venue for many, particularly me. I'm very happy coming here to eat now, whereas I perhaps wouldn't have been previously. We have a tremendous provenance. We're in a league and partnering with Lawrence Farm, which is nationally recognised as a top place. But more than that, there's a tremendous welcome here and a can-do attitude from all concerned. So we've really improved that, and we are practically every night except Monday, this place is open for business, and it's open as a community hub. And during the day, we're hiring it out to various organisations. It really is a community organisation, and you know, I don't suspect there's many clubs in our league and above that on a Tuesday night we get fans out like this when we haven't even played a game. You know, it is tremendous, and you know, we here are very proud to represent this club and to be in such august company as yourselves. Thank you very much for all you do for us.
Thank you. Anybody got any questions for Nick? Right, well, the main man's entered the room now. I'm sure this is the guy you've all come to listen to. So, everybody's quickly disappearing, leaving me here with Martin. So, Martin's just come from training, so I'll let him get his coat off. You want to bring your beer down, Martin?
Yeah, I do.
So, before Martin starts, one thing Lindsay didn't mention, we've got Christmas shirt coming again this year, and we've got the design done, and I think it's the best Christmas shirt we've ever had. That will be, we'll do exactly the same as we've done in previous years. 1 to 15 will be auctioning off. 16 to 20 we'll do a raffle, which will be drawn on the 18th at the Sheffield Tigers game, and we've got 10 which we're going to be using for sponsors, for any sponsor that wants to buy one. So there'll be 30 shirts, unique design. As I say, I've seen it and I think it's the best shirt that I've seen for a Christmas shirt down here, so I'm sure there'll be plenty of interest, so another thing to whet your appetite. So Martin, you've been down at training, new coach in place. Do you want to tell us a bit about what's been happening and what the future sees for us?
No. Would it be better to, is this work?
Take questions? Yeah, it's working, yeah.
Would it be better if I, you know, rather than me just warble on, if you want to ask me anything, I will answer as honestly as I can? No.
I'll turn mine off.
What number is it? Which one? Where is it? Which one?
I think what people are going to be asking is what Steve left us, and I think some people know and some people don't know the ins and outs. Is it just one of those things that happens in life?
Right, as honestly as I can. When I first talked to Steve about taking the job, What I talked to Steve about was longevity. We wanted somebody in the job who could still be there 3 years, 5 years, that kind of thing. Somebody who, when the shelf life, as it always does with a first team coach, comes to an end, goes into a different role in the club. Obviously Steve's from Sheffield, so I thought that was a bit of glue in the arrangement. We talked about to pad the job out now as it's part-time rugby, so we talked about schools programs, getting the base down, producing local players, both for the amateur teams as well as for Titans. And it was about getting a bigger and broader base of players. But underpinning it all, and I really do mean this, I would say to Steve, look, don't take the job if there's one eye somewhere else. So you can imagine, you could knock me down with a feather when on the Saturday morning when the Stourbridge game is cancelled, that Steve says, Jenks, can I have a word? And I go in this manager's office and he says, Glasgow have made me an offer and I can't turn it down. Well, I just completely out of left field. I just never saw it coming at all. So quite apart from the fact that you've got a contract, contracts are worthless. They really
the
are.
one way. The one way.
Yeah, I mean you can't, you have a player on a contract and he'll walk from his contract. There's nothing you can do about it. What actually keeps a player is his registration with the RFU. And if a coach walks from his contract, well, you don't register a coach. And if you sued for breach of contract, the court would say, well, we know what you value him at, it's what you pay him, so mitigate your loss, do the best, go and get another one. So there's no, it's not a case of whether somebody's contracted or not. It's just the understanding that I thought we'd got. So I said, all right, fair enough. He said, what do you think? And I can remember being stood there thinking, don't in any way, shape or form let him know I'm bothered. And I just said, well, when are you going then? So he said that Glasgow had said 4 weeks or something. I was going to Scotland then, for a week in Scotland, well, 5 days. And so we just set the rabbits running. I spoke to virtually every coach that I can, obviously, first making sure that they're able to talk to us. I won't do to somebody else what happens to us. And there was a twist in the tale. And well, I'll level with you because Steve's putting it out there. On the Thursday of the following week, I was in Scotland. Steve rang me up and said, I'll call it personal reasons at home, I want to withdraw my resignation. So then what do you do? I think we were not, the three of us discussed it, and we were not convinced that that basic precept of the agreement with him, i.e. longevity, was there. We still thought that if Doncaster came in and said we need a forwards coach, or if Sale said, we need a coach and you can travel from Sheffield, that Steve wouldn't have one eye on the door. So we said, no, the break's been made, we'll get on. And I chatted to 3 or 4 people, got a meeting of minds with Adam Byron, that everybody seemingly calls Baz. And anyway, he's out there now taking the coaching.
So, as a board, did you feel let down?
Sorry, say that again.
As the board, did you feel really let down, or there's no inkling in the background that anything was untoward?
Yeah, do you know, honestly, 20 years ago, and people who know my character know I'd have been pinging off the walls. And do you know what? I wish it could have been done with a bit more. When Lee Blackie, who we'd just done a 2-year deal with, said to me, Jenks, can I have a word? It always starts like that. And he said,
Oh dear.
Wasps want to talk to me. What do you think? What will Rotherham's position be? Would you be all right with it? It's a very respectful way. And I can remember having a conversation with Lee, what job are they talking to you about? And he said, oh, it's backs coach and attacks coach. And do you know what? We've got, you know, Lee's just a little bit older than my lad. We've all got kids, etc. And you come round to saying, Lee, we can't stand in your way with that. You know, you only live once, etc. You know, this one was just, Glasgow's made me an offer and I can't turn it down. And it wasn't on the first team bench on Saturdays, it was to work with kids, as far as I could see. So yeah, so I wish it could have been handled differently. But the other, you know, it's not like normal life rugby. And I think the edges have been knocked off me now with what, you know, people do, what players do, what coaches do. Of course, spectators, I absolutely believe this 100%. The club deals with people honourably. We stand on. We pay what we've committed. Sometimes it's hard, etc. Players and coaches at times are bloody awful. So it would be nicer at times when you read social media stuff if people would go, we don't know what's happened, but the club will have conducted themselves correctly. People always jump up and down about this player, that player, that, and it's all based on slapping somebody on the back and having a beer on a Saturday afternoon. But we move on. I believe we have a cracking coach out there. We shall see. It must be very difficult picking up a team that's used to one coach's methods and all the rest of it, and come off a COVID week. Still not got some boys who are back training yet. Challoner comes out of isolation on Thursday night. Donker, Johnny West, the new lad Matt Minogue, etc. will not be able to take part in any training this week. So it's a very difficult week to come in at, but we're confident we'll do all right on Saturday.
What about our other long-term injuries coming back wise?
So who have we got on the injury list? We've got Matty Williams,
Yeah.
who had a double hip stroke knee injury. Now, we don't know where that's going yet. He's still having exploratory stuff. Who else is there? Sorry? I don't know the up-to-date position on Michael Hills. You know, he's a police officer. So I haven't picked up on it tonight. But he hasn't been available yet for selection so far.
Bergie? Has he started?
Oh, Bergie's back, yeah. Bergie's back training.
Is Lloyd alright, Martin? Because he looked like we were hobbling on last game.
No, as far as I know, Lloyd's fine. Yeah.
Does Adam have a similar style, do you notice, Aldo?
Sorry, Anne?
Does Adam have a similar style of training? Is he forwards orientated or will that continue?
It's too early to say yet, but I mean, if you start from basics, and that is that Steve Salvian was a forwards coach and a pro, whereas Adam Byron's a 10, a standoff, fly off, whatever you call it, and a back. So when we split out there tonight, Adam will be working with the 3 quarters, and Smithy will be taking the forwards. So I expect to see a difference. Everything we've talked about is 2 sides of attack and 2 lines of attack. We've talked about we have a dominant forward pack by any stretch of the imagination. But you know what? If we carry on playing like we are playing, they're going to be smashed up. And certainly after Christmas, we've got 17 straight Saturdays. At some stage, somebody's got to bring our 3 quarters into the game.
Yeah.
So certainly out there, they were doing drills where it's ping it wide, forwards get out of the way.
So it could be a benefit to us, this, in a sense.
Well, you always try and turn a negative into a positive, don't you?
Was Smithy involved in the forwards coaching during Salvo's?
Yeah, I mean, Smithy's a level 4 coach and was our coach previously, so he's always a dominant figure.
So will he be taking a more prominent role
Yes.
now?
Well, one of the big things, you know, when you interview somebody for a job, etc., you can talk to your blue in the face, can't you? And certainly, I chatted with him twice He said to know his stuff. He's a teacher at Birkdale School, and he said, I'm not giving that up. He's got 2 small kids. He's got a 5-month-old. And so it was, I'm not moving house. He's a Sheffield lad. So that, I'm saying, well, you're saying all the right things. Now, whereas Salvo did a dual role of the head coach plus development stuff, Adam's not doing that. He's just going to be the first team coach, and then we're discussing how we're going to get the delivery done on the rest of the programme. But back to what I'm saying, so everything in the interview stage, fine. I'm ticking all the boxes. I have to say then, after that, a lot of store went by the fact that Matt Smith, when he stopped being coach here, playing at Doncaster, coached Sheffield with Adam for a year.
Did he? Oh, right.
And also Quigley knows him, because Quigley, some time ago, I mean, Adam has been at Sheffield 9 years, 7.5 years as head coach. And those two are saying to me, listen, this fellow knows his stuff, this fellow will go well. So I've got the endorsements then from two people who know the stuff and who are concerned.
Was Sheffield, how can I put it, what was their feelings when Adam joins us?
Have you read their website?
Right.
Read their website. That'll tell you everything you need.
I know there's been some praise of him and good lookings.
They use expressions like 9 wonderful years. You know, they say we've had 4 promotions, a Yorkshire Cup final, a this, a that, a the other. So they're, you know.
They're gutted to lose him, but they see him moving
But they
on
wish him
like,
well.
like we would with Lee Blackett.
Yeah.
You know, I think he's a similar situation. They see he's bettering himself.
I was really pleased. The very first time I met him, he said, I know Steve Salvin. Unless you can say to me, your relationship with Steve Salvin is finished, I can't discuss this with you. Which I just thought, in rugby, bear in mind what I've just said about rugby, I thought, yeah, that's somebody with an ounce of principle about it.
I think you answered your question earlier, man. It's how you, if you're going to leave, it's how you leave, innit? You know what I mean? And if he's done it the right way, there'll be no animosity towards him, will there? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So far, you know, we're ticking all the boxes. He said, I just want to get over this Saturday with a 5-point win.
Yeah.
Then, because it is difficult at the minute. You know, the boys have had that week off. Some people still not back in training. A new coaching. You know, it's pretty tough.
Has a new 10 fitting in Martin, is he ready for starting?
He can't train. He's not, we're coming from Australia and everything, he's not jabbed at all. If anybody's single jabbed or not jabbed, then their isolation period ends on Friday. Because Challoner was a day, he tested positive. Matt Smith tested positive, Matt Challoner tested positive. Because they tested positive a day, they actually come out 23:59 the day before.
So obviously not being jabbed, or you said Friday, so no training, done. Is he not training at home or whatever?
Oh, they'll do their own fitness work.
Yeah.
But if you can imagine, the key man, if you're a new coach coming in, the key man you want to work with in normal times, the key man you want to work with when you think this team needs to start getting its 3/4 play is your 10.
Yeah.
And we brought a 10 in, and he can't train.
You said, Martin, we've got 17 games back to back. Any plans to get cover? You know, I mean, as we say, Chal, Twigs, all them, they're not getting any younger, are they, to play that many games?
No, and I'm hoping that we've got cover in all positions. My worst nightmare at the minute, we thought we got an Irish tight head, and then right at the last minute we'd agreed the deal and everything, and then at the last minute he's gone to Chinna. You just can't get props. All I'm telling you now, by the way, most clubs in our league are like this. But for us, for a side whose whole game plan is predicated on forward domination, if one of our tight heads pulls a fetlock, we're in stum.
What about DRs?
Getting them. Everybody's looking for props. Lee Blackie at Wasser just took some lad who had got Premiership experience but had been in the Championship for ages because he's running out of props. So what I've just said there, by the way, most clubs will tell you the same thing.
So you said we've got a 17 non-stop weekends. Most other clubs have got 16 non-stop weekends. Or have they? Nearly.
No. There's 2 vacant weekends after Christmas,
February.
and we play the Stourbridge game in one that was cancelled,
Yeah.
and then we play the Chester game in the other.
Aren't so anybody else that's had cancellations in the same boat, or did they manage to fit them in the other day on that free weekend?
No, most teams in our league have played 10 games. Stourbridge has played 9. Our cancelled game, we've played 8. So we've used the 2 free Saturdays and nobody else. Stourbridge has used one of them. It's obviously us.
Yeah.
And but nobody else. Everybody else has got the free Saturdays now. I can't believe there's not going to be other incidents of COVID.
Yeah.
To see what happens
Well,
now. isn't it?
that was my next question.
Right, if you're ready for this, not only did they alter the regulations, because it's regulated, the length of the season, but they altered the regulation not only to say you could go through May next year, they said you could go through June.
Bloody hell.
Now none of us want that.
Bloody hell.
They also said that if it was not deemed by the league to be a significant game, let's say we're in May or June now, and both sides agreed, so if you 2 mid-table teams, you don't have to play the fixtures.
What would happen? 2 points apiece, or no points?
Yeah. But I mean, obviously, if somebody needs to avoid relegation, or if somebody's going for promotion, they're going to want to play the games.
But was there no question of doing January the 1st and save the end of March?
No, no.
Whatever. No.
Can you imagine if you were Stourbridge or even further afield if you're in different leagues, going to somewhere January 1st?
So you could still put it on the 2nd of January, which is a Sunday, because it's the bank holiday Monday.
You all have to play Saturdays.
But before the season started, these free Saturdays were laid out.
Trouble is, Martin, we take that June rather than happen to us what happened with Moseley when COVID started, and we got all chance to stop up, and we got done, didn't we? Really, because I think they would have come down. But,
Surely, is it
We don't get to decide these things, do we? It's done at a higher level than us, and
Well, but as a group of directors of rugby, can't you go to them and put suggestions to them? Don't you actually speak together on the matters?
there's an NCA committee. We're not on that, but then they will, refer to the clubs and get their opinions. But they've used this Christmas break as almost like sacrosanct now. They want a Christmas break. I'm not a player, so I would love the excuse to come down here, or the reason to come down here. But if you're players, it's not so. Do you remember once when Plymouth came here on January the 1st? Oh dear.
Anybody else? Any more questions? Can I hear you, Dave? How many training
I
today?
think there's 26 out there. Yeah.
Have we lost anybody that's non-attendees or no longer on the roster?
No, we've not lost any players. Not since. The last player that went was Dan Lamb, who was the 3rd tight head at the beginning of the season. So we thought we were going into the season with 3 tight heads, and we actually went in with 2. So what we're trying to do is give other front row players, particularly other loose heads, experience out there on the tight head. That's what we tried to do.
What happened with Cameron, Martin? Did you just get, you weren't happy with him and he finished, or what? You were here and then he won?
No, he struggled with the move from down south. He had that ankle injury and what have you. He was always going to go in the army, and is he in the army from January or February or something?
Yeah.
He wanted to play in the, you know, the Army and Navy game or whatever it is. Combined Services game. So no, I think we're in a good place. I think I'd rather be us than anybody else. I think Stourbridge and Sedgley Park are going to be there right to the end. It may prove that the draw that we got at Sedgley Park may be the most significant result of the year. And then you need a bit of luck, don't you? We need a luck with injuries. In the tight games you need a luck, or a bit of luck with the bounce of the ball and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, we are. I mean, what we haven't discussed as well, of course, is how they're going to structure the leagues next year. I literally have talked to John Inverdale today, and he's saying, you know, he said, I know what you're going to ask me, and I don't know. Depends what, there's no absolutely zip funding in the championship next year, not a penny. So then will the championship clubs then be more amenable to going to 12 or 14 teams? Will London Scottish go and ply their trade in the Scottish leagues? Which he seemed to think was, you know, was a fair chance. So you could almost say out of National 2, it could go from 2 to 5 clubs promoted, depending on the scenario.
Have they given a deadline of when they want to make a decision?
Nope. And it all
May, June, July, September.
It all starts with the championship clubs. The NCAA run National 1, National 2. The championship have an element of self-governance. And then of course the Premiership, which is the Premier Game Board. They're all under the umbrella of the RFU, but they all have their own, if you like, governing committees and etc.
Agendas.
And they would all have to be in some sort of agreement. This is a plan I want to put forward.
Generally speaking, the championship clubs, where me and Nick used to go, they all sit there with the calculators. And I suppose we were like it. I'm not getting judgmental about them. Because the RFU and the Premier clubs are always, the size of the pot is the same, whether you divide that 10 ways, 12 ways, 16 ways. So everybody's there sitting down, working out how much a game is worth. If you're Bedford, you want more games. 2,500 people there, huge corporate support, you want games. If you're one of the poorest supported clubs, the games are not such an attraction, you want fewer clubs to divide the money up. But I mean, if there's no funding, I would have thought, I don't know, certainly there will be pressure to get more sides into the league. I certainly don't think the model works at the minute.
Would there be more pressure to regionalise it?
My own personal opinion is when there's no funding in the game, because it can always, I would have all the leagues regional, personally. One is costs, you know, the prospect of going and playing Plymouth, which will cost you a thick end of 10 grand, by the time you finish with 2 days coaches, hotels and everything else put together. And I just think that's a complete nonsense. When players are part-time and have to fit work around it, there's no funding in the game, and there's so many more local sides you could play. I don't understand why the whole lot ain't regionalised, even if then, at the conclusion of the league, if you like, whoever wins National 2 North plays National 2 South, the winners of National 2 South. And I don't understand why that pyramid sort of thing can't go all the way up. An interesting take on this though is, because the fella at Blackheath is always the one who thumps the table, they don't want North and South, They go, no. We'd rather go straight up the M1 and play Rotherham than go that way and play Redruth or Plymouth. So it's a worse journey for them that way, towards Cornwall and Devon.
Is there any prize money
involved?
just so if you finish first, you get nothing.
All funding, all prize money, everything is out. Bear in mind, championship funding at its height was 650 grand.
People were running their clubs on that, hopefully, every year, and obviously.
Well, we do.
And it's worse than that, because again, me and Nick was in the original. When they wanted to cut it from 16 sides down to 12, and the RFU said, we think there's enough of a resource in the English game to run 2 fully professional leagues. And they said, we're going to start this on $500,000 funding, with a view to taking it to, in today's terms, $1 million over a period of time. And it went up to 650 and then stopped. And then new, as tends to happen, like HS2 and all the rest of it, new people get involved, they take a different slant on things, and now is, we don't want a second professional tier. So unless private individuals are prepared to fund it, it won't happen.
Any more?
On the other hand, I've been pleasantly surprised at the quality of the rugby national too.
Brilliant.
I think that's very watchable. And I'm certainly a lot happier playing Huddersfield, Harrogate, the 2 Hulls, etc., than having to go. Yeah.
And great crowds.
Yeah. Traipsing down to London every other weekend.
Which we haven't got a jersey, but
Can't have everything.
Guernsey away,
jersey
that'd
be
be
classed
decent.
as Yorkshire. It's like from Dominic.
Does Jersey get any funding for travelling?
I don't think they will. I don't think they will. I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Because Guernsey is obviously going to be in the same boat if they progress.
Very different area to this one, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
The demographics.
Oh, yeah.
Their socio-economic groupings as opposed to us.
Any more before we have a break, and then it sounds like training's just about finishing, so Adam's going to come and say a few words after training, so stick around, have another drink, and then we'll get back up here with Adam as soon as he...
Listen, thanks a lot everybody for what you do. Seriously, our club is absolutely held in awe by other clubs. Not only, I heard Nick touch on it earlier, you read the Bourneville account of the game, and you read the first line and it says, they lost with Lloyd Hayes scored a penalty, and they say, Bourneville came within 1 kick of our greatest ever victory. That's how they view us. And when, like the Caldy people at the weekend, I shouldn't say this really, but when one person arrives from Leeds and a coach load arrives from Rotherham, this club is held in awe by the clubs that we visit. So we're very lucky, and certainly myself, Nick, John, Lindsay, everybody's massively appreciative of what everybody does, and I know the players are as well.
So, ladies and gents, end of the first half. Thank you to our directors.